the face of adversity, moments of strength really often shine through. A new feature documentary film highlights just that. Three extraordinary women follows the story of Terry, Pearlette and Tammy. You see there, three women of color brought together through friendship and a goal to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Each woman has endured childhood trauma, systemic racism and poverty, from which has stemmed a fierce resilience to transform tragedy into triumph. The film hopes to inspire women as well as girls to define life on their own terms. And here's a clip from the trailer.
You gonna get there, Pearlette?
Yes, ma'am. I was just thinking about, you asked me about the ancestors who walked to freedom.
Yes, ma'am.
They didn't quit, and neither will we.
But being fully present to my breath, to the beauty, allows for me to connect to myself.
Absolutely beautiful. I'm pleased to be joined by the film's producer and co-director, Pearlette Ramos. Pearlette is one of the women who climbs Kilimanjaro. I'm also joined by Lorenzo, who's a director and co-producer. Pearlette, really great to have you to the show. Welcome. Really inspired and moved by what you've accomplished. This was, as I was discussing with my team, a deeply moving and inspiring documentary. And I was hooked really from one of the earlier confessions. I think it was from Tammy, who said, I'm going to read it out. I battle with the fact that I'm not enough, that I'm lacking. That's my personal Kilimanjaro. And in many ways, all three of the ladies have had huge mountains to climb. How did these lived experiences, first of all, bring you all together? And Pearlette, take this on for you.
How did the lived experiences of Terry, Tammy, and I bring us together?
Yeah.
Oh, so I met Tammy when I was 15 years old. We've known each other for the last 40 years. And Terry and I met while we worked together about 20 years ago. So I've had a relationship with each one of them separately, and the hike up Kilimanjaro brought the three of us together.
Then, who then decided that climbing Kilimanjaro or the journey to Kilimanjaro would allow the women to open up, really? Because it is, I wonder what it is about the physical journey that allows for a more introspective journey here.
Well, you're hitting at something that's really important, Isa, and that is we each travel separately, Terry, Tammy, and I, and this journey was actually a celebration of life. Because we travel together organically, I'll say, we've used the experience of hiking and being together to grow, like many women do when you get together and you really share deep insights and reflections with one another. And so I wanted to hike Kilimanjaro. I invited Terry and Tammy along. They said yes. And then the vision came to create this film to really document not just the journey up Kilimanjaro, but our own personal struggles. There was a theme that emerged because we had all each experienced some form of childhood trauma that we had processed, but we wanted to use our stories to help inspire and encourage and support others in the same journey.
And I think it was... Oh,
go ahead,
sorry.
Sionine. Go ahead, go on.
I just wanted to add that I think the experience of being in nature really brought out a lot in them, as Pearlette was saying, but also I think Pearlette had the intention to, for the trip to be a safe space for everyone to connect and speak and share. And before they left, I had also sent questions along, like I think on this day, maybe talk about this, talk about that. And that really helped in weaving the story together between their childhoods and their climb in the moment.
And Sionine, on that point, just as we look ahead for many women, as we look ahead to tomorrow, International Women's Day, why do you think this story will resonate? What is it about the message that you are trying to give away, whether you experience grief or trauma or upheaval? And I think I can't remember what you called it here, oppressed and suppressed, I think you said at the beautiful part at the end. What is it about that message that you want to try and convey to women who may be watching this, or men, quite frankly?
Pearlette? Oh, she asked you, but I'm happy to answer that. So I think having challenges in life and really experiencing trauma is sadly a very common experience. I think 70%, at least 70% of adults have experienced globally at least one traumatic experience. We don't often give voice to it. Certainly when you're a children, and each one of us was a child when we experienced trauma. So a part of this journey was really to let little girls and women know they're not alone, that they actually can craft the narrative around their story. Terry, Tammy, and I each felt a bit of shame about what happened to us when we were younger, and we found our voice and claimed our power and became leaders in our own right. And the desire is really for women globally to do the same.
Yeah, our intention is really for this to be an inspiration, that if you believe in yourself, if you take care of each other in community, that there's a potential for everyone to be extraordinary as they are.
And I was incredibly moved, Pearlette, and you were clearly very moved too, and you very emotional at that point where you're talking about your daughters, and you said that that your daughter said you're emotionally, I think you said emotionally unavailable. Mm-hmm. Have your daughters seen the documentary? And if so, how did they see you opening up? Has it helped strengthen that bond and make sense for them of what you've experienced, of your lived experience?
Yes, they have seen the film, and like many children who challenge their parents, my daughters challenge me to really be more available, to share more of who I am with them. And a part of what happens when someone experiences trauma is there's a disconnection from themselves. And I wasn't really aware that that had happened because I went on to achieve my goals and dreams. I didn't really reflect back. But as I did, and the relationship with my daughters, them challenging me to give them more of who I am as a person, made me both reflect on the experiences that I had, but also challenged me to become more self-aware and to meet them where they need it, which was a deeper level of intimacy. And that relationship is ongoing.
And Sudin, we're looking at some of the clips from the trailer from the documentary, and I was struck just by the really beauty of nature and the kind of that juxtaposition between that trauma, the grief, the three women have experienced, and also, you know, the fact that bearing their souls against this most beautiful of backdrops. Speak to that.
Yes, it was very important to us from the beginning that nature, that the topography of Kilimanjaro be a part of the film. Our two cinematographers did a really beautiful job in capturing a certain amount of the scenery every single day. And when we have screenings, people walk out feeling like they were there or feeling like they want to climb. But also, I think it's important because it really shows what a challenge this is. And yeah, I lost my thought. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'd like to add to that just a bit, because so often when you see people climbing mountains, you don't necessarily see women, and you don't see women of color.
Yes,
and
exactly.
So it was intentional on a number of different fronts. The first was to just change the narrative and to show that actually we do hike, we love nature. There are healing properties being in nature that we can benefit from, and that's one of the intentions of the film, is to help people connect to themselves and to nature and to one another. And I know for my journey in particular, being in the great outdoors has helped me to heal. And there's tons of research that speaks to that nature is a healing agent for many of us.
And Pearlette, I mean, at the end of the movie, the documentary, it says this hike was for her, talking about her as women, of course. And I think the hike was for all of us. I was incredibly moved. I said to my producer, I want to hike Kilimanjaro. Exactly the point you were trying to make just there, Janine. Just before we go, can I ask Pearlette, what was it like to reach that top, be there? What was that moment like?
So there's something I say in the film that I really say in my life, which it was that there was a journey to the journey. And so, you know, oftentimes we're constantly striving towards something, and a part of what felt surreal in reaching the top wasn't that I got there, but that I supported Terry and Tammy, and we supported one another in getting there. And I think that's one of the takeaways, that we each have a personal Kilimanjaro, but we have a collective one, and that is for us to support one another in addressing gender inequality. And if we do that, if we claim our power, our voice, our strengths, and use them in service of one another, that we can collectively address the systems of oppression that disproportionately impact girls and women around the world.
we'll leave it on that really important note. Pearlette, Sionine, really loved the documentary. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
us,
Thank
Isa.
Thank you. And still